So, R.I.P. Clem Burke. It's a shocker, actually. I think he was only 70. And you can't deny the absolute beating heart of those early, more successful Blondie albums. Couldn't listen to a whole one, though, could you? Even when they were in their pomp, I've listened to Parallel Lines today, and that big beating, but really groovy, particularly hi-hat work, hi-hat cymbal work on Heart of Glass. Turned out to be a pain in the ass. Heart of Glass. It's lovely. But that hi-hat cymbal work is superb. I, though, had a look at... he did so much work. He's done so much work with an awful lot of bands that you might not know. And I was drawn. I thought, I need to listen to one of the albums he's done. But I was drawn again back to Blondie. Because there are tracks and albums towards the end of their time that I've not listened to for ages. And one of those albums is Autoamerican, which started, I think, and I remember it clearly because I was there at the time, Follocks. Oh, I was. And I remember it being the beginning of something new for them, which didn't carry through, but also the end of their Here's Your Number One UK single. It's Autoamerican, as I say, 1980, and what you've got really is the Tidy's High. Reggae. The tide is high. But that's not my favourite track on this, in any way, shape or form. You have got on this album more extreme Debbie Harry lilting than ever. And it's not the best album to listen to Clem Burke for because he's there, but they're experimenting here. It's almost as if they're saying, well, those times when we were really popular, they might be on the way out. I think have you got The Hunter next, and that's it, isn't it? Then you've got Debbie Harry's Cuckoo album. Just brilliant. Anyway, Clem Burke went on to do an awful lot with Eurythmics as well. Could have listened to one of those albums. Not listened to those albums for years. But when you throw in things like Europa with its dramatic strings and a kind of 60s spy theme feel with robotic narrative, when you've also got Here's Looking at You, which is a tea dance, essentially. A tea dance, yes. When you put in the smoky piano and the sax and the sultry vocal of Faces with a sax solo, which works so nicely. And then when you also add in those 50s influence tracks like T-Birds, funnily enough, it's got more of a kind of power chorded, earlier Blondie sound, but then that 50s single or kind of bubblegum pop with an insistent synth becomes, for me, too apparent. Walk With Me has that 50s beat, but it's fast, it's groovy, it's got a big simple chorus. That's really all it's got here. There are tracks, of course, like Do the Dark, which sounds like another track on here with Arabian touches and a disco backing. Yeah, there's a bit of disco here. I really like Live It Up. It's the second track in, or is it the third track in? Good funky beat, disco bass, flanged guitar, hip-hop intention. Yes, there's a reason why I said that. Before I get there, though, we've got some galloping western theme music with blaring horns and trumpets that make it really dramatic. Let's go through it. But the track I'm talking about is do 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 do. Fab Freddy said everybody. Yeah, all that. Yeah. It was the first time that rap music really had been brought to people's mainstream consciousness. It's Rapture. I mean, the vocals are bloody awful, really, for the rap. You know, he's eating cars and now he only eats guitars. All of that. I mean, it's just a bit silly, isn't it? But Debbie and Chris Stein were consorting with early hip-hop. A bit like, I mean, this is earlier than Talking Heads, but a bit like Word Your Rapping Hood and all of that. Tom Tom Club. It is fantastic to hear this. And Debbie Harry will push that even further on Cuckoo. It's a great track, isn't it? There is, you know, on subsequent versions, there is a disco version of that. But it's great to hear this album again. I think it is them saying, go on, we'll have a look and see what else we can do. And it's quite a lot, to be honest. Doesn't really gel. But individual tracks are great. And I always felt that way about Blondie anyway, because they were always a singles band for me. Of course they were. They were always on top of the pops, weren't they? And I was loving it. And Clem Burke was, sadly to say, a very, an integral part of Blondie. He was an integral part of that big sound. And on this album, he's subtler. You know, it's not just that big beat. He gets to play with brushes. He gets to serve the song beautifully. He's not always there, actually, but he gets to serve the song fantastically when he's there. And just shows he's not just that big beater. He can play an awful lot, or he could play, sad to say, an awful lot of different stuff. R.I.P. Clem Burke, a real drummer of distinction. Ta-ta.